Girlfriends, good morning. Peace, everyone. It's that time. It's that time for another interview. So I hope you all are having a great day thus far. We are about to get started here. Our guest will be joining in a little bit. And really excited. Yay! I'm really excited for this interview. Couple of reasons. This interviewee, she falls into two of my main focuses of contact, of who I want to reach. And she is definitely of the African homeschooling diaspora and also in the margins, the marginalized homeschooling community. And so I am thrilled to give her a voice to share and just to declare what's going on and share her story and all of that good stuff. So it's gonna be great, you all. So very, very, very excited. Here she is. She is on here, ready, steady. All right. So let me go ahead and share it as she comes in. Hi, Alicia. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, we did it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I didn't get my equipment how I wanted it, but hey, we are making it happen. So I'm about to
right.
share it. All right, I already shared it out there, Alicia, so you can do the same. So as I
Okay.
was saying, I'm excited for this interview today because this person falls into two classifications of who I am reaching out to in this community. One, the African homeschooling diaspora, and two, the marginalized homeschooler. So those who are like pushed out to the margins. You see it on there. You might have to refresh the page
Okay.
to see the page. Um, so I'm really excited to be able to give Alicia this platform and to share her story, share her why behind homeschooling, and then you all get connected. So if you are just joining in, this is your first time ever seeing one of these Girlfriends Guide to Homeschooling interviews, drop a one below. And if this is what you do and you come in and you see these interviews on a regular, drop a two below, yes, and then also let us know where you are viewing us from. That will be great, 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 and great. So and please hit the share button as you come in. Are you all set, Alicia?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, good deal. All right, let's get started. Three, two, one. Girlfriends, it's Guide to Homeschooling. I am turned up for today's interview. Let me tell you, I'm so excited. So if you are seeing these two beautiful queens up in your Facebook feed and you have no clue who in the world we are, let me let you know. This is Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry. I am the host, Angela Jordan Perry, and in a little bit, I'm going to tell you who that is here in this little box by my head. But Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling, this is a platform that gives voice to the African homeschooling diaspora and those of the marginalized homeschooling community. So this is where we get to say hashtag we homeschool too. Hey, here we are. Our kids are thriving. We are getting it done. Our kids are doing well, and we are building a village. This is what Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling is all about. It is building a village of those who are alike, where we see ourselves, we represent ourselves, and we can connect with ourselves beyond any other peripheral stuff. The main thing is that we are Black around and we homeschool. Everything else outside of that,
Right.
not important to me. Okay. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. This is Angela. I'm Angela. Excuse me. And I am a homeschooling mom of 8 children, 18 years, 3 of which we have graduated, and 5 are still in the thick of homeschooling. Thank you, girlfriends. You all come on in and let us know where you're viewing us from. And we make our home in the northwestern part of the state of South Carolina, where we are self-sustaining farmers, man farmer, gone vegan, and I don't know how you do that. So I love all my animals. But we provide for ourselves and our time farming here in this area. So other than that, my purpose-driven life is to make a positive impact on thousands of homeschoolers worldwide. We are 100 down on our episodes. Yay! I just reached
Wow.
100 episodes. So I have
Yay.
900 more to go. And I need all of you and your support. Why do I say 1,000? Because this community of homeschoolers in the African homeschooling diaspora is growing, all right? And I want to show each other where we are and connect. I connected a South Dakota, was it South Dakota? Iowa homeschooling mom who thought she was all by herself with another Iowa homeschool mom just 20 minutes away. In Colorado,
Wow.
one who's there, and then another just 20 minutes away. So where we feel like we're the onlys, we really are not. I think we're just hiding out in our home doing what we do,
Right.
homeschooling, right, Alicia?
Yep. Yep. That's for
That's what
sure.
we're doing. We're in our house. So that's just a little bit about me. Additional to Girlfriend's Guide to Homeschooling, I have Girlfriends Chat. That's a platform where it's a podcast. So I'm on all of your podcast platforms. And then also Educating Our Own. That's the next platform. So if you don't know about that, jump on over to the Facebook page, Educating Our Own Now. Like and follow that page. And then go to the website at www.eduourown.com. So all of these platforms is where you're going to see us, by us, for us, to encourage, strengthen us on our journey for homeschooling. So unapologetically. All right, so that's enough about
Yes.
me. Let's get to our interviewee. So Alicia,
How are you? How
hey,
are
are
you
you ready
today?
to
It's,
make it
it's
happen?
yes. Thank you for having me. It was very nice. It was a great surprise when you reached out. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. That's
Yeah.
what I do. I just stalk people. I mean, that's my job.
Yeah, I do
I
that too.
stalk and find you. You homeschool? Then we need to
Exactly.
talk.
I right, right. Where are you at? What are you doing? Exactly. Yeah.
So let me tell you a little bit about Alicia. Alicia Lucas and her family are a BIPOC family of seven, raising five children, ranging in the ages of 13 years old to 7 years old. Alicia and her husband started their homeschooling journey 5 years ago, and it has been an ever evolving journey. Just this year, they embraced the unschooling style of home education, focusing on self directed education. Their focus is not just in teaching their children reading, writing, and math, it is about giving them the space and environment to develop the whole of who they are, giving them the independence and support to be free people. The Lucases are also a family raising children that are LGBTQ, one bisexual and one gender conforming, and learning how to be true allies not just to their children, but to all their LGBTQ brothers and sisters, especially their LGBTQ community of color. Alicia and her family have homeschooled in three different states: Florida, New York, and New Jersey, and looking to incorporate more traveling into their unschooling journey. So that's just a little bit about Alicia. So, Alicia, if there's anything else to share, please do. Thank you.
Well, for us, it was initially a logistical thing. We had just moved to the state of Florida, and my husband relocated to a new job, and they had us in a temporary housing situation while we looked for a place. And during that time, the school year had already started. So we were like, what do we do with our children, because we were not going to be settled for another month. So that's when I kind of stumbled into homeschooling. And when I first started homeschooling, I was trying to replicate school at home, like we do subjects and we do this, and we have to be get up at 8 and finish school at 3 and all of that stuff, because I had no idea. It wasn't something that I was seeking to do, so I was just kind of jumped in on the deep end and had no idea how to do this. So I found like an online program and that had everything there, like language arts and math and all that. And my intent was to have them go back to school for the new semester because we'd be settled by then. But it turned out that we weren't happy with how education was being done in the state, and my husband actually asked me if I was be comfortable with continuing the homeschooling um, experience. So I said yes, and then I kept learning as I went. I never did any deschooling or anything like that. I had no idea, so I just kind of did it, and it was a learning process, and it changed like every few months, because then I was like, oh, this is not working, so let's do this, and then this is not working, and then we just finally found a groove in Florida, but then we moved to New York, and then that was a whole different experience because they're super rigid in the state of New York. There's a lot of oversight, there's a lot of report writing, so we had to revamp our homeschooling situation. And by that time, I was more into like, let's be more independent learners. I was not even aware of the idea of unschooling, but I was already naturally gravitating towards that. But I pulled back because in New York, they were so rigid. And I just didn't want to have any trouble with like authorities being called on me and my family because I'm not in school and I didn't report them. So it got kind of back to more structure again. And we were just feeling our way through. And every time it was around this time of year, this is the first year that in the summertime I'm not stressed about what are we going to
Mm.
do for the new homeschool year, because we towards the end, no, not even, um, partway through the what would be considered the school year, and in like the late fall, we started to really lean into the unschooling and self-directed aspect of homeschooling. And I let go all of the lesson planning and finding curriculums. And then, so now I'm much more relaxed. Like, it's not that I'm not planning, I'm planning in my own head things that I have ideas of what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks when we like ramp it up a little bit. But I'm really leaning into unschooling and having the kids really be in charge and uh, take control of their own education. So that's where we're at. That's my quick footnotes version of how we got to unschooling and homeschooling.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's good. What a journey. How many years has it been?
it's been 5 years. Yeah, 5 years of of figuring this all out.
Yeah,
And I'm
five
still
years,
learning.
girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if anything, that should give you encouragement that it's still, it's a process. It's a continual process. Even for me at 18 years, it's a process because life happens, you learn things, you figure out, you find better ways of doing it, your children change. And so it's just a continuing, you just got to be willing to move with the flow, be fluid, I guess.
Right, right, exactly. And that's something that I had to learn, is that it doesn't, even if something more rigid and curriculum based works for your children the first 2 years, they change and evolve, and you have to be really flexible and know that about yourself and know that about your children. You got to think about where you were 5 years ago and just try to remember as a child how much you're growing and changing. So one thing isn't always going to be right for you all the time. So that's something that I had to grapple with and realize that it's no matter. I tell people all the time that come to me and be like, "Oh, how do I start homeschooling?" I'm like, "First, you need to understand that whatever you start off with that might work for you for this amount of time, trust that it's going to change, because your children are changing, you're
Yeah,
changing, and what works for them when they're 5, 6 isn't going to work for them when they're 8, 9, 10. So, and what works
absolutely.
for one child isn't going to work for another if you're doing multiple children. So that
Mhm.
was something I had to really struggle with, because we're so ingrained and thinking into like, when you go to school and everybody's in one grade taught the same way. Everyone's doing the same thing. So I'm just like, well, your sister did that at that age. Why can't you do that? But
Right.
you learn, you figure it out.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. You figured it out. So when you first got started, although you were just feeling your way and that type of thing, I guess the biggest change would have been, you're in New Jersey now, right? Not New York.
right, right. Yep, we
Okay.
are in Newark,
So
New Jersey now.
yeah, big difference from New York. I've heard stories of New York that just make you go, oh, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're in New Jersey.
Mhm. It's
So
much more stress free when it comes
yeah.
to the homeschooling space, and what they don't require anything of you here. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So in New Jersey, have you found a community with your uniqueness of your family being in the margins? Have you found a community to connect with as you're on this journey?
Yeah, actually, this was the first community in which I finally found a group of people and a group of homeschoolers that are on similar journeys and understand what it is that we're trying to do with our children and what it is we're trying to gain as a family unit and for our children to live their best lives through homeschooling. So it was, I thought I would have found it in New York. After I left Florida, I was really alone on an island, I felt, with the homeschooling there. I couldn't find my people, and I didn't know where to look because I was so new to it. And then when we moved to New York, I was like, oh, New York City, that's my stomping ground. I grew up there. It's so progressive. It's so this, it's so that. I had even a harder time finding people there. And it wasn't till we settled in Newark, New Jersey, where it took me a few months, but 6 months in, I found people that were like right on the same wavelength, and even on a level that I didn't even know I wanted to be, and that opened
Mm,
up my eyes to a lot of things. So I really attribute um, my journey into self-directed education and the idea of raising truly liberated kids to two of my really good homeschool girlfriends. And it was through them that they, like, I had that in me, but I didn't have the vocabulary or the knowledge or even the conception that other people were there with me until I met them, Takesha and Shanice. So shout out to them. So
yeah.
yeah, so we've really found, and then through them I found other people, other great mothers and other great groups of people. And this community, even outside of homeschool, has been very open to my children and our entire family and how we want to raise our kids. They're really involved in a lot of community work around here, and while they might not be homeschooling or are homeschoolers themselves, they are very open and understanding, and they've just brought them into the fold. So it's been a really lovely experience living here in Newark.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, I want to put you on the spot. I should have asked you this to be prepped on it, but maybe it's already in your brain. When you say you want to raise truly liberated children,
Hmm.
this terminology that we don't hear too much, and the reason of a big why of homeschooling, or we should have be homeschooling our Black and brown children. What does that mean? If you can give us a little synopsis, what does that mean, and what does that look like?
Right. Okay. So it is multi-layered, but the crux of it is that I want my children to live their life the way they want to live it, unapologetically, um, and very independently, without having to think about what other people may think about their decisions or how they choose their life. Because even as a homeschooler, my family wasn't always understanding of what we were doing. They got on board eventually, but the idea of there are things that, and ways that you're going to want to live your life, as long as it doesn't hurt you, hurt your community, or hurt other people, you do that, and you live your best life, and don't let anybody tell you the right or the wrong way to do it. Success looks differently for different people. How people love is different. Who people love is different. And I don't want them to have society be dictating how they should live their life. I want them to just be strong enough and understanding in who they are that they will be like, no, this is how I want to live my life. I don't want to go to college. I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to open up a coffee shop, or whatever it is. Or I do want to go to college and I want to get a PhD. Whatever it is that they want to do, and however it is that they want to do it, I want to give them the space to be able to have the confidence to do that. Because if we say we want to raise liberated children, and then we tell them, then we put barriers up for them and then give them limitations. Oh no, you can't, you could do it, but up to this point. And sometimes I get people thinking, oh, like, oh, so you just let your kids do whatever you want, whatever they want. And no, raising liberated children doesn't mean that there isn't discipline involved, right? There is discipline involved. You tell them, well, listen, hey, you want to do all of this stuff, but there are things that have to be done at home. So you're not being punished, but you got to remember that if you don't do these things, you're going to be left here not being able to go out because you haven't finished your job, right? Or you're dependent on me taking you out. So if the dishes don't get done and the cleaning doesn't get done, then you're going to have to deal with the fact that I can't take you to those places, right? Because I'm busy cleaning up the house, right? Those are the choices. So it's like teaching them to make good decisions on their own and teaching them to live their best life. You're really loud. My daughter is reprimanding the little ones in the background. You know, hear that? She's trying to be big sister. They're giving her a hard time.
Little mama.
Well, Alicia, this is one of my favorite questions. And will you take us to your worst day of homeschooling, the day where you almost quit, you were over it, and you were just done, but you didn't quit. And this is why you are this amazing homeschooling mom that you are today. Tell us about that experience, Alicia.
All right. Well, I've had several of those moments. It's not just one. But there was my son for a good few years was the one who gave me the hardest time, because he is very sensitive sometimes. So when I would not reprimand him, but I would try to correct him, even if I went to him with kid gloves, he would take it so personally, and then he would devolve into just wanting to disrupt everybody and everything and the whole household, because he was personally hurt by the fact that I tried to correct him. He took it personally. He took it as like, mom doesn't think I don't know, maybe he took it as like, oh, I'm not a good kid because my mom has to tell me that I'm doing this wrong. And it was a fight, and it happened. There was like a good year and a half where this happened like every 2 or 3 weeks, like clockwork. And that span of time, there was lots of tears and lots of yelling and slamming of doors. And I was like, I don't know if we could do this, because he's disrupting everybody. He feels bad. I feel bad. We fight. And it would be the whole day. So that period of time was rough, and I was yelling too, because I stopped. There was a point in time where we would not like beat our kids, but give like a pat on the behind, or slap, a slap on the hand, and we stopped hitting. And then I went to yelling a lot, and I was like, oh, this isn't good either. It was just another form of violence to me. So he was really testing that for me, and I was ready to quit then. It was a lot of like, I'm not good enough and I'm messing my kid up. But we got through it and we figured it out. What I learned to do was take responsibility for my actions and not even talk about him, because he's a child, right? He's going to do childlike things. So I learned to no matter how many times I had to do it, it was I'm working. I tell him I'm flawed. I'm working on it, and I need to apologize to you. And I'm going to keep apologizing to you, and I'm going to keep trying to do better and work on being better and work on being the adult, because it's not up to you for me to be the adult. So that's what helped us through. Yeah, that would be my worst time in homeschooling.
Yeah, yeah. So contrastly, what was your most memorable time of homeschooling that, you feel like, okay, this maybe it brought you tears, but this is why I do what I do. This is why we decided to homeschool our kids for this moment right here.
When my middle child had a hard time reading, and it was because she was the last of the children that I was trying to replicate school with, and I feel like I pushed her into reading too early, but we were working on reading, and this was about, I don't know, 2 years ago. We were sitting down reading a book together, and I literally saw the light, that light bulb over the head go off, and she was just reading this book like fluid, and right there, that moment, that spark. Oh my goodness. And she was the first child that I had that she did preschool, but she hadn't done kindergarten or first grade. So I taught her letters and her math and her reading. And that moment right there was like, I was crying and boohooing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she got it. And that was when I was like, see, this is why you homeschool, because if they were in regular school, another person that's not their parent gets to see those moments, and they may not even be aware of how amazing that moment is for your child, and you miss out on it. But as a homeschooler, you get to be there when that happens, and that's amazing. That was one of my best days.
That's beautiful. That is, and so true. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, girlfriends, let me let you know, all of you who are joining in, this is Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, and I am joined today with Alicia Lucas out of Newark, New Jersey, a homeschooling mom of 5 children. No, I'm sorry, is that right? Yeah, 5 children. No, yeah, yes. 5 children, 5 years. I knew the numbers kind of worked out like that. 5 children, 5 years. Hello, Lucille. Welcome, Angela Vaughn, and welcome, Michelle Caston and Tammy Polk.
Hello.
Maisha.
Question, just to pick your brain, so these can be quick answers right away, okay?
What is your favorite quote or mantra, Alicia, that keeps you going through your homeschool journey?
Just keep swimming. Like Dory in Little Nemo.
Love it. Yes, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Do you plan to homeschool your children all the way to the end of the journey?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any, or let me ask you this, what is something that's unique to the Lucas family that you all implement in your homeschooling journey? That's unique to you all, that you created.
Ooh, that's a good question. Unique to us. Gee. I don't know. I don't think that's unique to us though. We like to do pajamas all day. Oh gosh, I don't even know. We do so many things and it changes. So what is it? When they were little, when they were really little, my oldest reminded me we would do shirtless Tuesdays for the kids because they would just want to be free. So
okay,
yeah, that was something we did.
Do y'all still do that, or that was just when you were little?
When they were little. The little ones still do that. Yeah. The twins still do that, and Xavier does it sometimes.
That's cute. Very cute. What is a curriculum or book or a resource that you have in your homeschool library that you feel like every homeschool family should have?
There are several things. We have a telescope that you can find an inexpensive telescope that does wonderful things. We also, the Young People's Guide to American History, it's adapted from the People's Guide by Howard Zinn.
That's
That's a
excellent.
must-have book. Yeah, those two things. A telescope and that book.
I agree. That book right there is excellent resource. If you don't know about it, you need to get it and you need to have it in your book because it shares the history from, I guess the word, the oppressed people's viewpoint
Right.
from their viewpoint, and it gives a, I think, it's a pretty thorough look on it, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yep. Yep. It's a great resource.
It's a great resource. All right, so what is the best piece of advice that you have received, Alicia, on your homeschooling journey?
Best piece of advice that I've received on my homeschool journey. To let the children lead.
Mm-hmm. Good. What is your favorite resource or tool or app or online resource that you use that you think the girlfriend should definitely know about?
Oh, so we recently started the whole family. If this particular resource is for foreign languages, it's an app you can do a free version of it called Duolingo, and we're all learning different languages on our own time, in our own pace, and that's a great resource that I just found that we all are like everybody in the family is doing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can find it online too. I didn't know it was an app, but it's a good resource online and it's
Mm-hmm.
free.
Yes. Yep, it's free. You could pay for the upgrades, but you don't need to. You just go deal with the ads and you get the same thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Good, good, good. All right, well, here's the last question, the $1,000,000
Okay.
question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So you had to start all over again, Alicia, back to day number 1 of your homeschooling
Mhm.
journey. Where you have your current
Mhm.
wisdom, knowledge, skills, convictions, insights. What would be the first thing you'd be sure to implement in your homeschooling journey? And also, what would it be that you would, be sure not to include in your homeschooling journey?
I would not start school like activities right away, and I would take time to de-school and do all things unschool related for as long as I feel we needed to. That's what I would do.
Okay, and so when you say, okay, one clarification just for any moms who's looking. Number one, that terminology de-school, what would that look like? And a quick little thing of the unschool. You kind of said, but just to marry those two contrary things
Okay,
together.
so deschooling is when if you decide to homeschool your children and they're coming from a school environment like brick and mortar traditional school, you take time to just do a lot of play, a lot of discovery, a lot of like maybe field trips. You'll read, you'll go to movies, do whatever, and you figure that's the time you take to figure out what kind of schooling you would like to do for your kids. And it's a good time to observe and see if your child works better with structure or not structure. And it's just the time to assess how you want to go about homeschooling. And it's not just for the kids, it's for the parents because you got to kind of get rid of the ideas of what school is supposed to look like because this is a whole new ball game. And then unschooling is when you don't do a structured curriculum of schooling and you kind of allow the children to progress and do what they feel that they need to do during the day. And sometimes it's a little scary because they're like, what are they doing? They're just they're just on YouTube all day. When my son learned how to do Rubik's Cube on YouTube, my daughter seems to be on the computer all the time and she's learning photo editing and video editing and she did this all on her own. So unschooling is when you just let your child discover what it is they're interested in and let them dive into it as much as they want. I think that's a pretty
Beautiful,
good
excellent.
explanation.
That's it. Well said, well said. Well, Alicia, you have any last words of advice for the girlfriends? And then also let us know what you're involved in so we can connect with you as part of your village.
Okay, so last advice is always have a plan, but write the plan in pencil so that you can erase it and change it as you go. Also, in terms of what we're doing, you can follow me on Brick City Homeschool on Instagram, and I post like events that I'm doing. I'm working on, if you live in the New York, New Jersey area, I'm hoping to do a STEAM expo for homeschoolers where they get to come in and do show off any science, technology, engineering, art, or mathematics related projects, and it'll be a free event. So I'm hoping to have information on date and place for that, and I'm hoping to be in January to give children time to do their projects. And I also post events that I'm doing on Facebook, and also the Homeschoolers of Color Collective is a group that I'm involved in, and we do events, and we have some stuff coming up that we'll be posting. They're on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So that's a good place where I do work with them, and we work together. That's the two other ladies I shouted out earlier, Shanice and Takesha. So, and together, the three of us are the Homeschoolers of Color Collective.
Okay.
Oh, that's
All
it.
right, beautiful. Okay, very good. Well, you all be sure to go look those resources up. And you said Brick City Homeschool, correct?
Yes, Brick City Homeschool on
Yes.
Instagram.
On Instagram. So look her up. She has some pretty neat things up there, and that's how I found her. She was following me, and I thought, oh, let me see who's following me. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, look her up, Brick City Homeschool. And if you want to continue the conversation with Alicia, or maybe you have some questions or some things specific to her journey, her contact information is right there in the show notes, and so you can reach out to Alicia. I'm sure she'll be like, yes,
Yes,
yeah.
love to hear from everybody. Yes.
So continue the conversation with her if you'd like to. And as I always say, girlfriends, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And this past hour, you've been hanging out with Alicia Lucas out of Newark, New Jersey. So you all keep up the momentum and continue to connect with positive resources
And it can be done. Like, there are different ways to do it. So even if you're working, you can work it out. I believe you can work it out.
Yes, 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 yes. I am fully 100%. If it's your desire to educate your children, you can do it. It doesn't matter the scenario. Where there's a will, there's a way. And if you feel like I just don't know it all, and you just need to make sure you connect with educating our own, because we're going to give you all the resources, all the know-hows, all the support mentally, emotionally, physically, everything we can give you there to do just that, educate your own children, okay? So Alicia, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Angela.
Girlfriends is God, appreciate you, and thank you for doing that. I really am grateful. So thank you, Alicia.
Thank you so much, Angela. It was such a pleasure. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.
Good deal, good deal. All right, till next time, you all take care, and thank you for joining on this interview with Alicia. And I'm Angela Jordan Perry, the host of Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. Bye, you all. Peace.
Bye.